Ladies and gentlemen, Friday episode, Good Company, 3sb.co. One good question, where we take your question from Discord, the community, the family. If you want to join the Discord, go to 50percentfacts.com. Join the Discord there, and then on the left, you'll see one good question. Basically, every Wednesday, we got a regular episode, and Friday, we answer one of y'all's questions. And I haven't chosen one yet. We're literally scrolling right now. But what do we got? We talked about steroids. Here's one specifically for Jim, but we'll dance around.
Okay.
It says, Jim, as someone that's pivoted from a traditional career into more of a fitness gym ownership content creation, what were the trade-offs? Is there a best time in life to do it, or anything that specifically made you successful? For Mike, along the same lines, but if you did a 9-to-5, could you see yourself doing one?
That's an interesting question. I haven't had like a traditional job in a long time. When a couple different things happened at the same time. I was working for a big healthcare company, and they went through a merger, and suddenly I didn't have a job. And at the same time, I got a kid who got sick with an illness that was very difficult for us to figure out what was going on. That took like 10 years, and my wife had a super stable career in which she was making an increasing amount of money. And so like I was home a lot for a long time. And that's kind of how I started consulting, was I could do that around, trying to be there for my kids and whatever. And so I lived in the corporate world, but it's been a long time since I did that. I can't say that we never worried about money, but it wasn't, we were seldom in a dire situation at that point,
Yeah. Because that's like number one. You even said the word stability.
Yeah.
I feel like when people think 9-to-5, that's got to be the number one benefit, I'd imagine.
Right. He is having a regular.
But even that, I feel like because of the day and age we live in, has changed.
Yeah.
And
then I started doing media stuff, just YouTube stuff in 05, 06, I guess. And I had no idea if that was ever going to be anything.
Yeah.
And in terms of making money off of that part of it, I haven't very much, honestly.
Yeah, it's always, I've talked about that in terms of YouTube and stuff. Like, I think people have it skewed on how much money you make doing that.
Yeah, you have to be really at the top levels.
Yeah.
You have to be in the top 1% or half of 1% to really be making money.
Yeah, we're talking 100,000 views, multiple videos a week, consistently, and then you can make a living purely off media.
Right. It's a lot. Podcast made a reasonable amount of money. Our first one, especially toward the end, because there were a lot of advertisers, a lot of people who wanted us to do their stuff. And like integrating the gym with that as we've gone forward, in some ways has been harder than I thought it would be, because content is, you have to feed the beast all the time, and your brain is not always on it. And I don't spend every minute of the day thinking about the gym anymore, but I fucking did at first, for sure. And it was harder, for sure. And Mike and I are not getting rich here doing the gym either.
Everything's kind of a long process.
Yeah, you're just playing a long game, and some parts of it pan out, and they pan out in ways that you don't really expect.
Yeah, it's kind of like cliche, but like the not an overnight success meme or whatever. A really good example is my boy JP, who I was just hanging out with. JPG Coaching, for those that know him from the internet. And JP's been doing YouTube and content for like 8 years.
And he suddenly had overnight sensation?
Yeah, and then literally last year, he popped off on TikTok, and now he has 4 million followers. But he's been coaching and competing in bodybuilding and fitness for like a decade.
Yeah.
It just happens that he found a trigger or something hit during COVID on his TikTok, and then now he's the guy. But
it'd be like if Alberto Nunez suddenly was a TikTok star.
Yeah.
After years and years of grinding.
Yeah, he's a little bit younger and different generation, but exactly that.
Yeah.
Where like, it's never like as slow of a grind. I was talking to someone too on this last trip, getting back from Texas, that I forgot what we were just talking about, past jobs or something. I was like, I don't think I've ever applied for a job in my life.
It sucks. It's a really sucky process.
Yeah.
You feel like so judged all the time.
Yeah, I've just never done it. It's just never been a part of. I worked at a commercial gym, and that was like as corporate as it gets for me. And every other job I created. Me and my dad ran a basketball league. I started a DJ company. I started a car wash company. I ran my own gym. And then other ones were people asking me to work for them in a way, right? Like Slingshot, I reached out and said, hey, I see you have a company. Can I work there? Basketball, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never like applied. It was either people asking me to work for them or like just forcing my own way. So I don't have a lot of reference. But stability is something that is forever lacking. I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, and that if you're not mentally ready for that, and the content game, both of those, there's no stability in either. And so it does feel, I think you're going to be on a hamster wheel no matter what. It's just what hamster wheel you want to ride, and if you want to build your own hamster wheel.
And I think that the people that we know that have been financially successful, like very financially successful, those are the unicorns. And some of it is about talent, and so much of it is about timing. I don't know. And another thing that's important to know is like some people know us, and maybe in certain circumstances a lot of people know us, but you can't spend fame or recognition or anything else. You know, in this game, you have to figure out how to monetize yourself. And I mean, if you're someone, if we're talking, I let's put it this way. I hope that we're not talking about somebody thinking about shifting into content creation as a full-time job or whatever without knowing, what their backup plan is, or
or even just starting a business, right?
Yeah,
and it's super popular to be an entrepreneur and like have side gigs now, but like. Yeah, you'll probably just have to add hours to your workplace rather than replace them in the beginning.
Yeah.
So keep your job, and if you want to do something, start it on the side until it can take over and be financially-ish responsible. And obviously a lot of it depends on where you are in life. If you got kids and a wife and husband or whatever, that's going to make things a little bit more risky, so you probably got to walk a little slower. If you're 22 years old, spending your quote-unquote life savings on opening a business is a little bit more realistic.
Right.
Because you probably have less money to begin with.
Right. You're only blowing so much, and the chance to start over is right there in front of you.
Yeah, and the chances of you going, homeless or totally broke is a little bit different, but it's so much situation dependent.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely have experienced in my life in different circumstances, situations where I was like really critical to making something happen, but it doesn't mean that I was the person most likely to capitalize on that either.
Sure,
I can be very valuable to a process, and then essentially not be valued.
Yeah, I mean that's the idea of just if you really want to be successful in anything, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, you have to pretty much control your thing. There's so much that you can't control. You can't control business conditions. You can't control, whether or not there's going to be a recession or there's inflation or, your costs are going to get out of control. You can't really control any of those things. I would say that anybody looking to do anything needs to figure out what the value is to your customer. If you are providing a specific tangible value to somebody, you are more likely to have a success, and it's, I would say, less of a gamble in some ways if you know that the product you're providing and the business model that you can provide it in has some economic efficiency.
Yeah, a little bit of market research.
Yeah, you can kind of do that at any point, but then it's scale. Some businesses just don't scale.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why it is cool to be an entrepreneur all of a sudden. I guess probably social media, right? So you see the unicorns and they're flexing their Ferraris and Lamborghinis, so you think you want to live that life too, and they're on private jets and shit. But there's also different scales that are quote unquote successful. Yeah. Right? Like you can make 6 figures, not 8 figures, as a business on your own and build a great life and be in control of your destiny, kind of thing. Not everyone's going to be, Gary Vee, but lateral to that, I think anyone can be Gary Vee. Kind of like you said, there's luck involved for sure, and there's opportunity. But I think if you just don't stop, eventually you're going to find it. If you put like conscious effort, it's just like lifting. Will everyone deadlift 1,000 pounds? No, but you can get really fucking strong if you literally just don't stop, use your resources, and keep pivoting and adjusting your programming, nutrition, sleep. You're going to get somewhere. And everyone has the opportunity to do something, and that is kind of the beauty of it. And that's the same with business. And that's why we talk about, or at least I do, like the barbell just kind of being a microphone for our message, because I think that's when you let that translate to your business and your health and your relationships, keep pivoting, keep reinventing, keep trying new things, keep doing the old things better and better, you're probably going to get somewhere. But I don't really understand the glamour of it. I guess, it's just the social media shit, because it wasn't really much of a thing, I feel like, when I was growing up.
No, not really.
I thought it was rare when my friends' parents owned a business.
Yeah.
It was kind of a rare thing.
Yeah, for sure. Just to change gears and let us run for a little bit longer here, I was just listening to a conversation that was recorded earlier in the week about part of the conversation was about the Powerball and how it was approaching $2 billion in value, depending upon how you calculate it. I mean, $2 billion is, they don't hand you a check for $2 billion,
right?
And whatever, but that's just a ridiculous amount of money. And if you had to do it in a public way, it would basically take you out of society. Like you know, and so you probably want to do it as stealthy as you possibly can. So if you're going to stealth that, do you continue to do the work you're doing and just do it better?
With $2 billion?
Yeah, with better funding, just as down low as possible that you can with the funding. Do you do the same things? Do you like...
Yeah, probably, but just spread mega. Like, let's say they chunk you. Say you win $2 billion past taxes, and if you take the loan sum, you end up with $600 million or something, right?
Which is so ridiculous still.
Yeah, probably. I'm probably going half of that to charity, quarter of that to my mom, a quarter of that to good company and what we're doing, and then the other quarter to just like real estate or something that's semi-stable or long-term stable, and then the third quarter, if I did my math right, of my own shit. Yeah, I'm just fucking around, right? I'm buying a boat and maybe a car, a couple toys. But yeah, it's such an insane amount of money to spread $100 million 6 ways.
Yeah.
Right? You can do a lot of shit, but probably hire people.
Yeah,
right? Like that'd probably be the best.
Hire experts to make your business more more successful. Even though you don't need the profitability really. Yeah, because you have the money, but at the same time,
you want to win, and you're in the position to help other people. I don't know how true it is, but we saw Rogan perform with some of his buddies when we were in Austin, and I'm pretty sure like he puts on the shows. And sure, they all get paid by the club, but I'm pretty sure Rogan pays his homies too, because he kind of has fuck you money. Yeah. And he wants to support his buddies that he thinks are talented and good, and he can without batting an eye.
Right.
You know, and I think that's cool. So it'd be the same thing here. You get, people you believe in, people from other companies that are maybe down on their luck, and now you can pay them a full-time salary to use their skills to help your own brand grow, which, again, you don't need the profit, but it could go into the company in their own lives. Yeah, I think that would be the probably most beautiful, perfect situation.
A big give back. Yeah, I mean, the alternative is that you retreat to a fucking island that you buy in the Caribbean, and then you just don't interact with anybody, and you don't ever do anything, and you never gain any. I just think you lose so much of the social possibility when you're cut off like that. You don't have anybody around you who isn't essentially paid to make you feel better about yourself, as opposed to...
You'll find out who your real friends are for sure.
Yeah.
And who's snaking. Yeah, I don't know. I can't even imagine, to be honest.
It's something like, it's totally implausible stuff, but, you think about it. You think about the possibility of just being overnight stupid rich.
Yeah. I mean, athletes and people kind of go through it. I was watching the... I think it's the American Story, or I forgot what it's called, but about Kurt Warner, the quarterback. That kind of happened. Dude's playing arena football, probably making $50,000. He's checking out people at a grocery store, probably making $20,000, and then overnight wins a Super Bowl, and he's probably worth a couple mil. Yeah, and that's not a bill, but if you're from Iowa, you're driving a beat up truck your whole life, and now you're 27 or whatever he was, 28, and you come up on a couple mil, it probably feels similar.
Yeah. Yeah. And the crazy thing is that some of these athletes just lose that money. They
Yeah,
just
all of them.
lose. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's insanity.
Same with lottery people, though, right? They call it a curse, but it's just
Yeah.
people making poor decisions.
Yeah. I think that if you win more than $20 million, you have to have a team.
Yeah.
You have to have a team.
But then even that, right? Like, who do you trust? And that's the same thing with athletes. Like, the athletes have a team.
yeah.
But like, yeah, what's your manager doing? What's your CPA doing? What's your agent doing? Do
Yeah.
you trust them? Are they snaking you too? Yeah, it gets weird. Money makes people weird for sure.
Yeah. No, I've certainly certainly seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, that's all I got.
All right. Brand new shows every Wednesday, Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Join Discord, 3sb.co. New clothes are on the way. Speaking of hurdles and pivots in clothing or a business, we're doing what we can. There's some circumstances overseas, as always, but we're working. Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Join the Discord. We'll catch you there. Selling Mike everywhere you want to find me.
I am at the Jim McD on all those social media. This show is 50% Facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just a number. 50% Facts is a Spreaker Prime podcast in association with iHeartMedia on the Obscure Celebrity Network. And if you haven't checked out Wednesday's episode with Stan, I highly suggest that you listen to that, because it is he took us in a different direction than I was expecting. We were expecting to talk about one thing, and we ended up talking a lot about kids in sports, particularly kids in lifting, and I turned it out to be a very interesting discussion. Anyway, we'll talk to you next Wednesday.